Come on in now. Come on in. Nicole. Hey, my baby. Hey, Ann. Hey, Nicole. I'm just waiting for boss lady. Please start this show. That's right. Sugar love, baby. When you have a baby with a narcissist, this is our second child together. I asked him to hold the baby's neck, and he viewed that as talking down. Oh, wow. We're going to see what happens here. Mm-hmm. And this is for fair use purposes, for educational and entertainment purposes. This is for fair use video. Don't forget to hit that like. Okay, we waiting up for boss lady. Oh, we gonna start it. Hey, love. What's up, love to be me? I know that's right. I love to be me too. That's right. What's going on, boo? right, we're gonna start the show. We're gonna start the show, baby. Let's start the show. Because I know I speak a lot upon mental health behavior. Mental health behavior. So we are going to start this show. Okay? All right. Let me just leave this invite in there in case boss lady or somebody want to come up and talk about it.
Word of encouragement the whole time I was in labor. That's why I had to get that for girl, because you didn't say anything to me. Nothing. You just looked at your phone. What? How do I act?
The whole time I've been here, all you've done is talk down to me. The whole time I've been here, all you've done is talk down to me. I haven't said a thing about it. So no.
No, you're lying.
God,
I just had a baby.
Hell, like I really hope you do, you know? Really tried to be cool with you.
Hope
be nice.
How? Yo, God. How in the world? Hello, Maria, Maria. Or Marty, Marty. How in the world do you have a child? You in labor and the man is arguing with you after you have labor. All you do is talk down to me. She's in labor. Uh, Buenas noches a todos. Oh, good night to you too. Or good evening. Good evening to you, love. Buenas noches. Mari Mari. Yeah, so how in the world you just and the man is picking a fight with you right after you give birth. And he wasn't no help the whole time. This is why I'm telling you with these narcissistic men, make it about them. How shouldn't it be about the newborn daughter right now? No, and this is her second child. She didn't learn the first time. She did not learn the first time. So she went and had another one. But it's okay. We'll see. We'll see what happens here. But I'm rewinding back a bit.
Looked at your phone. What? How do I act?
The whole time I've been here, all you've done is talk down to me.
Now she's in labor, and then he said, "Look how you acting." He's saying the whole time I've been here, all you did was talk down to me. Now she's in labor. Why would you care?
The whole time I've been here, all you've done is talk down to me. I haven't said a thing about it. So no.
No, you're lying.
God,
I just had a baby.
Hell, like I really hope you do, you know? Really tried to be cool with
you. Hope
be nice as much
you hope.
Just for you to.
You didn't do anything. You just sat on your phone. You just sat on your phone the whole time.
So she's in labor. All he does is stay on his phone. And do you hear how this man is arguing with her? Like, where do you find these crazy men at? Jesus. I'm disgusted. It's only like 38 seconds. We 38 seconds into this, and I'm disgusted already. I'm disgusted. And we ain't even get to the minute mark. We at 38 seconds.
You asked me to do something for you.
No, you didn't. Yeah, no, you didn't. You're lying.
I was
to yourself.
I waited
a couple times, but not like that.
I know. I waited
just had a
too,
baby.
and then I turned my head and you was on.
Yeah, you see, we're only 54 seconds in, right?
Right.
Now, I just played some music.
Okay, no. I just wanted you to let everybody see. Hey, Nicole.
No, I have to wait for you. What are you talking about?
How ridiculous this guy sounds from the beginning of the video.
I was mad 38 seconds in.
I know, baby. I'm just saying.
I was ready to scratch his eyeballs out.
I'm ready already.
It was remember, I'm only 54 seconds in now. We was at the 38 second mark. It ain't even a minute yet, and I'm ready to scratch his eyeballs out. I'm telling you, I would have helped my stomach.
Been my daughter. It could not have been my daughter.
It could not have been me. It couldn't have been me, because I would have told them doctors, yo, y'all know, y'all got the good medicine, right? Get this pain up out of here, because I'm ready to hurt this ninja. I'm so serious. Oh, she in the hospital already. Like, what? She's the patient, so they would have gave her some stuff to kill the pain, but I would have, ooh, Jesus. But when Father's Day chime around, he want to be recognized as that, don't they all? But this is,
Yeah,
again,
yes.
this is a representation of narcissism. Everything is about them. Everything is about them. They turn everything into them. Like, how do you make me feel bad for all that labor pain that I went through? You make him, on top of that, you want to make me feel bad, and it's about your feelings. And we're not even a minute in yet. We ain't even a minute. We 38 seconds. I'm ready to scratch his eyeballs out. But let's go. And I have to stop because in the beginning, certain points it's in and out. I don't know if the video stays like that, but I do know that I don't even know if y'all can hear good, because I don't think in the beginning he even knows that she's taping him. I don't know that, because I think that's why, she's letting us go on, because she's taping this. So he can't say, "Oh, I had my kid and she threw me out," or she made sure she had her receipts. So she's collecting her big receipt right here. Okay? All right.
If you want to leave, go. I said I want you to leave now. I want you to take your time. I just want you to go. Get out.
So this woman is now a single mother, but she was pregnant by this man. She had been with him for many years, and she would describe their relationship as being one where she was with a narcissist, and she actually broke up with him prior to this, but she still wanted him there as emotional support because she felt as though she had no one. So in this video that she posted on her,
okay, now she says, "I see now. 1 week ago, I discarded my narcissist. I'm 8 months pregnant with our second child. I endured 3 years of mental abuse, but enough is enough. Didn't I tell you guys when enough is enough, a woman will know? They do not change, and as much as I'm sad and disappointed, I also feel very empowered. I left him in the most calm way. It's time to take back my peace and focus on delivering a healthy baby. Mommy can't be good. Mommy, if she's crying. Mommy can't be good. Mommy, I think she meant to say if she's crying, she can't be good." So let me just get back to the lady. Let's get back to her.
The hospital room, crying in the bathroom after I just gave birth to my baby. So I'm in the hospital. I just had my baby on Friday, 2 days ago. And her father and I were not together. I broke up with him because I believe he's a narcissist, and he was literally draining me, and I couldn't take it anymore.
I'm gonna share the video, Tony. I'm out for a minute.
But I think I just didn't want to be in the hospital alone, so I had him come. And he hates the name that I decided to pick for the baby. And while I was sleeping, because I had the paperwork filled out, while I was sleeping, he changes the baby's name on the paperwork. And I gave the paperwork to the nurse, and then as she was like walking down the hall, he's like, "Oh, I changed the baby's name. I don't like the name." And I'm just like, what gives you the right? Keep in mind, he doesn't have a job. He hasn't had a job in 2 years. He doesn't help me financially with our other daughter at all. When I was in labor, he was on his phone. He, I just felt stupid because I knew he would be this way, and I still let him. When I was in labor, he acted as if it didn't matter. I was in pain. There was no words of encouragement. And I literally felt like I was doing it alone. So I should have just done it alone. But for some reason, I just felt like I needed somebody there. And now that's why I'm sitting here crying now, because he almost had my baby's name, a completely different name. And then proceeded to tell me that, he didn't want anything to do with the baby and the name was stupid. He's going home. So he packed up all to get it here ASAP. But he was going to help me to get my car and everything. But I'll figure it out. But it's just, you left me in the hospital with our newborn daughter. Like, you really did that. And you said you didn't want anything to do with her. And this time, I'm not going to listen when he tries to apologize and tries to act nice, because that's what he does. He's super, super mean, and then he's super, super nice. And for a long time, it confused me. But I see clear as day now. He's just a terrible person, and I need to stay away from him. And I need to stop trying to make him into a father role because he's not ready. And I can do this. I really can do it. I just need to stop thinking I always need someone like around me. I don't. I can do this. I've been doing it alone. He's just been around. Like, I can do it. It was just like the realization of today is just unreal. Hey guys.
So after she made that video, you would have thought a lot of people would have been feeling empathetic towards her. And of course, some people were, right? But the problem is that a lot of people were dragging her because she knew he had no money. She knew in advance that this man had that type of personality where he will be hot and cold. He will talk to her any sort of disrespectful way, but she went on to have yet another child with him. And this is why I really caution you guys, behavior, look at this instance and what he would do this to their baby encouragement. She just gave birth.
I've been going through things that I've went through. Pretty private person, and like I'm really guilty of holding everything in, but TikTok is actually like what helped me to break free of the toxic situation I was in. Once I became aware and watching all these women and men and women going through things that I went through, and things clicked and became more clear, it really helped me to put things in perspective because my brain had been so fogged for so many years. Yes, I know he was at the hospital. Avery's not even supposed to be here. She's supposed to still be in my stomach. I was in a high pressure situation. You're scared. And, you know, you want the father of the child to be there, even though I knew he couldn't be there in the capacity I wanted him to. I at least like wanted, you know, a familiar someone with me. I think that's what it was. Like, I was just scared. And you guys just saw a small snippet. What led up to that, him cussing me out and storming me out of the hospital and all this and that is basically for months, like I had been trying to discuss the baby's name with him, and he would literally look at me and ignore me, or he would tell me everything I thought of was stupid, and he would give me names that I didn't really care for, and I hadn't been talking to him. Like, I'd literally only been talking to him on the weekend when he would come and get our older daughter. And I've been trying to co-parent with him, and I would not talk to him during the week. Literally was only talking to him about Leilani, or the daughter, and was not talking to him about anything else. But clearly that wasn't the best. It was really like sad, like laboring and having someone just be on their phone and not encouraging you. And the sad thing is, like, I think I was so close to the end of getting ready to push her out, and I couldn't do it anymore. I was like, give me the epidural. And she literally came 45 minutes after I had the epidural. And I just wish I could have just held on a little bit longer because my back is killing me. But it is what it is. And I'm just thankful to have a healthy baby. But what prompted his outburst, I think, you know, he hadn't been getting much supply. He had not been getting any supply from me. Like, I've really been trying not to give him any supply. But, you know, narcissists, they seek that attention.
Tell them what supply is.
You know,
honey.
having a baby, you get attention.
I got you,
and
baby.
all the doctors and nurses, they were all like so in love with how she looked. And like, he like I could see like he was getting like excited about that. Like, he was getting a supply from our baby that was just born, and all the attention that she got and everything.
So
earlier last week, I had just chose a name, and I had a name board made, because when I thought about it, I'm taking care of this baby financially. And, you know, this pregnancy was very difficult, so much more than my first. I had no symptoms with my first. I went through every single symptom with this one. And I took my ass to work every day, and I made sure my older daughter was taken care of. And I went to my iron transfusions. Like, it was a lot. Like, I literally was hanging on by an edge the entire pregnancy. It was very mentally draining, and plus I was trying to I was trying to break free from a narcissistic relationship. And I think my pregnancy being so difficult also helped me to see how much he really does not care about me as a person in general. This is all a process. Like, it's not happening overnight. Like, it was a healing process, and everything I went through the past week is going to mold me for what I'm going to be. So he had saw the name board. He saw me taking pictures with the baby with the name board, and he never said anything. And not until the nurse took the paperwork did he say that, oh, I changed the name because it was stupid. And as she was walking down the hallway. And honestly, if he did not tell me, I wouldn't have known until the birth certificate came back, because I thought I had filled out everything and he just did his part and that was it. I didn't know that he made any changes. And the fact that he had that entitlement and the audacity to change her name, it just sickened me. I was very angry and aggressive. Yes, I know my baby was right there, but it just triggered me. Like, how could you do that? Like, how? Like, what right do you have? And at the end of the day, it's all about control. He does not care about what this baby's name is. Literally, he changed her middle name from Rain to Raina. Like, how original is that? You took something I put there and then changed it a little bit just so you can say that you thought of it. Like, you literally probably thought about that as soon as you saw my name board. Like, he's just a sick person. And I'm just, it was very unfortunate. I have been so emotional, but I have work to do. I have to take care of these babies. So I just wanted to vent about it, maybe get some advice from people. But I did not come here to get bashed or, talked about, or you're so stupid, why did you do that? Like, we all do things. Like, we're trying to grow and learn as people. Like, I'm going to make mistakes. You're going to make mistakes. It's all a life lesson, and we're going to be okay.
I actually want to comment on that concept of us all making mistakes. Of course, everybody makes, but try.
He has me blocked, was kind of thing, but
not trying to with this man.
And I wouldn't record it, so like I would almost, I wouldn't say forget, but like I was like, maybe it wasn't as bad as I thought it was, kind of thing. But it is bad, and you can't just say anything you want to say. To people, you can't do that. So I'm going to keep that video if I'm ever weak again, which people go back to their abuser 7 times, they say, but I'm not going back. But I'm just saying, like, if I did have a moment of weakness, at least I have something to remember. Because I guarantee you guys, he does not remember a thing that he said. He will just say the most gut-wrenching thing and come back and act like nothing happened. Like, that's what he's done to me for years. So I guarantee you he doesn't remember what he said. He doesn't care about what he said. And, in a couple weeks, he'll probably try to contact me. Right now, he has me blocked. And in that hospital video, I was just mad and angry. I've literally been a church mouse for so many years, and just letting him get away with so many things. Like, he literally thinks he's the supreme ruler of my life, okay? But I'm so happy I stuck to my bounds, because Destiny last year, I would have just gave in, let him have the name. It's just a name. But it's not just a name, because he does not like that name because he likes it. He likes it because it's a control thing. It's nothing to do with the name.
You mean he doesn't like it?
He just wants to be in control of something, a situation that he feels like he has no control over, especially because we're not together. I discarded him. He needed to feel some kind of control in this entire situation, which is unfortunately why me and my daughter had to deal with that.
I want to also comment on the sense of control. This is the dangers of dating men who are broke. Again, so low self-esteem, and it's so for your children.
But he just needed to control you. Like, one of the first things
the children to carry on your last name, because I'm gonna keep going.
And I have him blocked, and something that's funny is I noticed that he blocked me from the Amazon account. That's the only thing he can control, because like we had shared an Amazon account because he got like a discount through some streaming service he did. And that's literally all he could do. Like, one of the first things he does, because he knows I love my Amazon Prime. And I literally buy things for our daughters from Amazon Prime. I don't ever get anything for me. It's for our daughters. But just to hurt me, because he knows I love my Prime, he canceled it. But honey, I'm about to go sign up for an Amazon Prime. Don't worry about it. But he just needed to control me some more. The only comments I find annoying are the ones that say, then why have a second kid with him? And when those people that write those comments say it, I know they have no idea what it's like to be with a narcissist. Like, y'all have no idea. When beautiful Avery was conceived, everything was good in our world. But a narcissist changes like the weather. So things changed. It got worse. It got better. It got worse again. It got better. It got really worse. When I got pregnant and when I was going through all my changes, he just could not stand me being pregnant. Like, he changed so much when I was pregnant in ways that he did not do the first time I was pregnant, or maybe I just didn't notice because I didn't have any pregnancy symptoms. But when you're having symptoms, and you're with someone and you're just noticing how much they just don't care about what you're going through, it just makes you so aware. But I needed my second baby, so after you have a baby,
she says, okay, so she doesn't like the comments that people are making about why have the second child. And I can understand red flags because anytime I'm on Twitter, absolute worst. And I know at your spirit like of Dusty that you don't want to marry. Okay, this is not you chose. They have zero intention.
You know, that weakened state you just gave birth and you just had a baby or whatnot. They think that you need them. They want you to be dependent upon them. And if you show the least bit of, authority to them, like hold the baby's neck, hey, can you do this correctly? They'll snap on you just like he did. And this just didn't happen in the hospital. Apparently they had another baby before this. And Hoover back in, another trap baby. Now she's stuck now. I don't think she's necessarily stuck. Let me correct that. She's not stuck, but she got to deal with this person for the rest of those kids' lives, the rest of her life. Because I saw somebody in the comment section that said, hey, you got 18 more years of this right now. Nope, it's not 18 years. It's the rest of your life. Because that baby is going to grow up and have kids and grandkids and things like that. So
100% right. That's why I keep trying to tell y'all that whole mistake. Some mistakes can be correct.
Stay safe.
I want to see what type of advice he gives to get out of that because, I hear people talk about the gray rock, but
he wants to change the baby name, but get mad. Only thing he did was add an A to it instead of rain up. It can't hold. He can't get mad to hold the baby neck right. He didn't even want to hold a baby. He didn't even want to hold a baby.
No, he just wanted to tell her what to do while she's trying to have a baby. He didn't want her to have no joy. He tried to take every piece of joy out of her having that baby that he could. And that's what a narcissist does. They don't want you to have no joy. Now, I really wanted y'all to see this because I want y'all to see how clearly they do not want you to have no joy out of anything in life because they're miserable and they want you to stay miserable as long as they're miserable.
Mm-hmm. Now we're going to hear from a couple of people here.
She even has a part 2 to it. She has another part to after. I don't know what happened to the other part. Couldn't find it.
I'll find it.
Yeah. He did this girl like this, and she laying in there having his child, and he is standing. And I can't believe they let him stay in the hospital, acting like that because
they're not in the room though. Usually it's private rooms now. Used to be in a room with other ladies, but now it's private rooms, so they wouldn't really know unless they're like yelling or something. They wouldn't know. And them narcissistic, they know how to talk really low when they need to.
To narcissistic abuse awareness and recovery, parental alienation, complex post-traumatic stress disorder, and anything and everything associated with those three main topics. Today, we're talking about narcissistic parents and their pathological envy against their own children and grandchildren. I'm including parents and grandparents in this video because so many of us who are raised by a narcissist end up marrying and having children with a narcissist. So
we're
not
gonna do
only
supply
have we
next. Don't worry about it. I
experienced
got you
this
for narcissistic
pathological
supply.
envy
How
and
you
the
doing,
abuse
Eden
that
Evolution?
accompanies it
Welcome.
as children and young adults, but our own children will have to deal with this also. For many of us who have lived or are living through the hell of parental alienation, you can be guaranteed that your child will have at least one narcissistic grandparent, because parental alienation is usually passed down from one generation to the next. So, because of that, when I refer to the narcissist who is pathologically envious of a child, this includes grandparents. I am making this video actually in honor of my beautiful son. He came down for to have a Christmas dinner with
We
me.
need to hear all that now.
Beautiful flowers.
Yeah.
Other people, and they also tend to believe that others are envious of them, incredibly envious of other people, and they also tend to believe that others are envious of them. And although narcissists don't feel empathy, compassion, regret, guilt, remorse, they feel envy with
It's not
every
that
fiber
simple,
of their
Eden. It's
being.
not that simple.
They use their belief that others are envious of them as fuel. Just the thought that others are envious and jealous of them
Hey, my
gives them
truly
tremendous narcissistic supply. This feeds their delusion
Truly
that
laced
they
up.
are superior
Hey.
to others. However, anyone or anything that triggers their pathological envy
Hey,
will
Nicole.
activate their deep shame, emptiness, and feelings of inferiority. They intensely feel envy.
She's so
causing them to
low,
feel
right?
overwhelmed and panicked.
I got
It
everything
can
high.
and usually does cause them to lash out in some very, very nasty, mean, and vindictive
Well, I'm gonna make it
ways.
a little bit
And
easier
trust
for
me,
y'all. Basically, the object must stay on them. Once women start to have a baby, they are jealousy of the baby because now the attention goes to the baby. So now they are second in life, and the baby is first. So that's why a lot of kids, that's why I say these extremists, they don't understand that with these narcissistic.
Hey, Eden Evolution.
Even if you are not to say it's without complicated emotion. I mean, like a lot of even if you're a mother narcissistic person, if you're used to getting spoiled by your husband and you got it to where you want to be, and then you turn around and give that man a baby, then they really don't like the kid at all, and that's their own flesh and blood. The only time they like the child is when the child is doing something that makes them look good. Like that child like get straight A's. They don't care about the child. Oh, they just such and such. Susan made straight A's this year. Yes. Their love come, no, not their love, but everything come with condition with them. Or yes, Susan Susan has to constantly do stuff just so mommy can even speak upon her or get a reward. And if Susan likes dad more, forget about it. Susan is going to stay on punishment for no reason. Susan get a gift. We just using Susan. I don't know where that name even came from out of my mouth. I'm black, right? But Susan, right? There are some black Susans, right? Okay. So Susan is in competition. Now it gets really bad when Susan becomes a teenager. Now Susan is the younger version of mommy. Now mommy is even older. Susan can drop her like it's hot. Mommy can't. So that's when you'll hear, oh, you're ugly, or anything like when you're going through your adolescent stage. Susan mother's going to spot everything and tell her everything. She's like the freaking Debbie Downer. It's like anything that Susan mother can do to make her feel bad. So Susan will be running away. Susan will be running away thinking she's not loved. Technically, she's not loved. She's a narcissistic parent. That's why we need to we have to keep spreading this awareness around so kids won't think that it's them. And even if the mother loves the father dearly, And remember, this can go both ways. This can go both ways. This can go both ways. Like on a man behalf, you know, the man will find anything wrong with Susan. Like let's say Susan hair is not braided the way he wanted braided. He don't care about Susan hair being braided. But now he's gonna pick a fight with the mother. Look at Susan hair. You got Susan out here walking like this. No, it had nothing to do about the hair braiding. Just that he's using everything about Susan to fight with you or to argue with you. So Susan's going to cause a lot of fights in that house, but it really has nothing to do with Susan. You know, or the father's always going to be like very needy. So Susan, the mother has to take her attention from Susan. But if your mother takes too much attention from Susan, and then it's like with Susan, with Susan, like if you have a narcissistic father, it's just really there's no right nothing for the mother. If the mother gives Susan too much attention, she's got a problem. If she doesn't give Susan no attention, that's a problem. You see how the man changed the name from Rain to Raina because he didn't like Rain because the mother gave her that name. So we're going to get into supply. That lady, she was a little bit too low, but we're going to get into what is narcissistic supply. What is narcissistic supply? Let's find out.
To do that, please just hit the bell and subscribe to this channel. You'll not only get daily updates about this series coming out, but also about all of the other content. Oh, imagine you were relying on a tank on your back for air, like a scuba diver would. And then someone kinked your hose or turned off your air tank. What would you do? And the answer is pretty obvious. You would most likely, most of us, would panic. You'd be desperately gasping, doing anything you could to get that air turned on or get the air unkinked so it's coming back to you. You'd become agitated. You'd do anything you could so you could get your air supply. And once you did get that air supply and you breathed it in, you'd be fine. You might be aggravated, but you'd be fine. And that, in a sense, is how a narcissist feels. That's how they feel when they can't get validation, they can't get admiration, they can't get recognition or attention. They psychologically feel as though they are gasping for air. In a way, you might even feel a little bad for someone if they were in that situation. If you were thinking, is that really how they feel? Like they can't breathe? If they can't get air, do they really get that panicky? If they can't get their validation and admiration, if they can't get their supply, yeah, that's how they feel. So it sort of starts making sense because narcissistic supply is, in fact, the validation, the acknowledgement, the admiration, the recognition, the gratification, the reward, or whatever else it is that narcissists get from other people or from other sources, such as social media. And this can include a whole variety of things. This can include things like getting compliments, getting awards, getting applause, or just simply giving them the opportunity to sit there and talk, and hold court. Narcissistic supply, it's a cynical term. It's basically reducing or labeling all of the social interactions of the narcissist as serving the largely singular purpose of only doing one thing, and that's to validate the narcissist. So in this way, interactions with a narcissist don't tend to be reciprocal or sort of what we call two-way conversations or interactions. Rather, they are often you feeling as though you are serving a function for the narcissist in the conversation. Maybe you're giving them information. Maybe you're giving them attention, or maybe you're keeping them from having to be alone, or maybe you're doing things like having sex with them or making them look good. And you might make someone else look good through your appearance, your accomplishments, your wealth, whatever it is. It's not a two-way street. It's a very, very one-way street in any form of a relationship with a narcissistic individual. You're the one delivering supply to them. And yeah, so it is a cynical term, but it also sort of rather realistically lays out the dynamic of a narcissistic relationship. Now, it can take a while for a person to figure out that they are merely a source of supply and validation for a person who's narcissistic. Because narcissistic individuals are so good at something called mirroring, something else I'll be getting at in this series, it actually seems that the relationship might even feel like a two-way street, even when it's not. In fact, you could argue that during the love bombing phase, when the narcissist is in some ways lavishing you with attention, it can feel as though you're being seen and heard in a way that you have never been seen or heard before. Some people report that it's one of the most seductive, enveloping feelings that they've ever had in their lives.
Hey, Dwayne. How you doing?
What's happening? And before long, you will see patterns such as the narcissist not really paying attention to you. However, they will require you to give them absolute awareness, absolute attention. And, listen, as is going to happen in any relationship over time, at some point we get into a rhythm with the person, right? We're not completely intensely focused on them at all times. Life happens. There's garbage to take out, there's taxes to do, there's stuff to do. And we assume that another adult in a relationship with us is not an infant.
Hey, Dwayne.
24/7. The problem is that doesn't really work for the narcissist, who needs a pretty steady supply of adoration and attention. Now, a narcissistic supply is a feature of all narcissistic relationships because, as I said at the beginning of the video, it's the air that they breathe. In a romantic relationship or in an intimate relationship, after that sort of initial period of love bombing passes, you start to recognize that if you aren't giving them the supply they want, the way they want it, when they want it, then your relationship is going to start to feel a little bit more uncomfortable. They're going to expect you to be their cheerleader, to be their publicist, and to worship them blindly. And what's interesting is that a common dynamic that can often happen in narcissistic relationships is the day that comes around when the first time that happens, that you say something that the narcissist would perceive as critical. And you assume that maybe you misspoke, maybe they misheard it, whatever it is, that you could discuss this so-called criticism like two normal adults.
So basically, what she's saying is with the supply, right? The narcissistic supply, it's like you are their oxygen, right? So it could be man or woman. You don't know which one it is. This is why I say we too busy repping people because we figure that, like a lot of men don't know their homies are narcissistic people. They don't know if they're covert narcissists. Because what you see with your homie and what goes on in the house is two different things. So he may come to you, or she, because you got a lot of women out there too. Some narcissistic females are the worst. At least a narcissistic man will go that child is stuck with that narcissistic mother. They are the worst. And them poor kids can never breathe because the man is gone. They still have to get that narcissistic supply. And a lot of times, if you ever look at a woman or a man, when it's time for that supply, their eyes turn really dark. It's like you can really see the evil in them. You can literally see it. It's like their whole body changed, their whole facial expression changed, but their eyes, I don't care what color are their eyes, it gets darker. That means that they whatever they need it. So a lot of them will like embarrass you in the street just so people can watch you get embarrassed. That's what you see Nature Nut does all the time. He makes sure he embarrasses you right on the spot. That's supply. Or beating you up. Or some women's like busting your car and busting the windows at your car, following you, becoming a stalker. And then they'll, after they get their supply, they only know they got it once they see you. You don't know you throwing up the white flag, but they see you throwing up the white flag, right? They see you, they see it, right? So that's what that's. I mean, that's a scary look. That is a very. So can you imagine if the father got away and the child is left there with the mother? So now that child has to praise the mother all day, and it's nothing that poor child can do for mommy to say good job, unless she's talking to her friends because she needs supply. Remember, they can supply anywhere they can get it.
I'll tell you, that is, I don't mean to interrupt you, but I have a generational curses of this very thing. I used to call my grandmother to ask her what was wrong with her kids, my mom, my aunties, and them, because they would be doing some stuff. And I was like, are those really your kids, grandma? Like, what the hell?
Mm-hmm.
I went through some things.
Mm.
And I was determined to not let it go past me and mine. And so I put an end to all that putting down the kids. Who puts down kids? What is
Well,
your
but
problem?
see, but that's not something you could put it into. It's just that
Oh,
you're
yeah.
not. No, but it's just that, no, what I'm saying is you can't put it into it. It's just that you're not narcissistic. Now, if you happen to be narcissistic, then it will continue. But like you got kids that was treated that way, but now they're narcissistic, so they can't put it into it. Just like when you look at baby Eliana, she looked like she was going to be a little narcissistic because of what all that bowing in front of her and all that stuff. But that's why if you're not narcissistic, you got to go. So, and you got to keep your kids away, or my thing is you can't get away from narcissistic people. You can get away from narcissistic people in your life, but you can't get away from narcissistic people in life.
Oh, no. I'm just saying.
No.
What I did was when, they would like try to differentiate between my grandkids or make it seem like they were less than, even though they were just babies and didn't know what was going on. I made sure that I put a stop to them treating mine like that. I don't care what they do. You're not gonna treat mine that way.
No, I was talking to the audience, boss lady. Sometimes you be thinking I'm talking to you, but I'm talking to the
No,
audience. But you have to, you have to stand your ground because, and you gotta let them know you're not gonna use my kids as no supply. No.
Right.
Yeah, you're 100% right there. And sometimes you have to separate them. You just have to. Sometimes you just cannot be around certain family members, and you have a lot of men. That's why I said that if whomever come to you with help, you help them. You help them. You help them. But that's basically what the supply is when they turn into a demon. They turn into a whole different person. and depending on what level of narcissism that they have. Remember, it could just go, some can just go to mental abuse, and some is mental and physical abuse.
Mhm.
And then, like she says, then they'll snap out of it like nothing happened. Like nothing happened.
They even say they didn't say things that they said, and will tell you lying when you tell them, ask them why did they say such. Oh, I ain't never said that. They totally forget.
See, when I started dealing with narcissists, it wasn't no name for it. I just knew it wasn't right. And I also knew I wasn't the type of person that will argue back and forth. I'm like, what? I'm always type of like, we're only gonna go with a couple of rounds, and after that, I'm done. I'm done because that's good and bad, because now with these narcissistic people, it's like when they want, they supply too, and that's why I'm glad Nature Boy does have social media, because he's talking in the camera, but at least the people there don't have to hear his mouth. But they become preachers and stuff. They must talk. I mean, they can literally go 5-6 hours nonstop. They can literally go 5-6 hours nonstop, and you better not fall asleep. You better not. You'll have some problem. And they talking about absolutely nothing. Only thing they give you a scenario after scenario that has nothing to do with nothing. They give you 50 million scenarios and 50 million reasons why you're wrong and why they're right. I mean, it's a living hell. It's a living, but like I said, for me, I tune you out. I did things, but some people, that's why sometimes you gotta learn how to tell people, yeah, okay, you right. Bye. Mm-hmm. 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 Sometimes you just gotta sit there and just listen to people. Because the minute you say something, another thing they do is they turn into them damn lawyers, like the DA or something. They got all these things. Everything you say can and will be held against you. If you don't remember nothing else, since the minute you said hello, that's going to be held against you too. You just tell hello to any man like that. They're going to bring that up later on. I remember how you said hello to me. Well, because I had money or I didn't have no money or whatever. And I already went into, if you check my videos, I already talked about the empath and the narcissistic person. So don't forget to check that video out. That was a very good video. Because it's different levels to empaths, it's different levels to narcissism, it's different levels to sociopaths. And I'm allegedly saying these things about Nature Nut, and I'm allegedly saying these things about TKO and the rest of them, but I know what I see. But yet, because I see it doesn't make it true. But I know what I see. Everybody knows what they see. But narcissistic people, when they win over people, yes, majority of narcissistic people, they tell you I ain't no good. They would, Nature Boy is not doing or saying anything new, but they learned the game. People don't know that's just a game, and what they're saying is absolutely true. But people still fuck over there because they realize the worse I say I am, the more you want me, because you think that you can change me. Exactly. They think, okay, they know that there's empaths that's out there that's going to go, I can change him. I can make him feel loved. I am different. No. What did he just tell you? I had one to tell people I'm I'm a very mean person. I really don't like nobody, and what they said was absolutely true. But people, oh, we respect that. How do you respect somebody? Yeah, it's the truth. They beat up on people. He said that, but because he said it, that makes you respect them. But these narcissistic people, they got the game down packed. And they know they're going to attract people because everybody wants to save them. See, that's how that goes. Instead of leaving them alone, people want everybody want to give them encouraging word. Well, let me give them some encouraging word. These ain't no babies we're talking about. Okay, these are grown people. These are grown men and these are grown women. They don't want to save no kids, but they want to save the babies. It's like that chick. They always have excuses to make them look victim. Why? Of course, they're the victim. But how are you the victim after you just got finished telling everybody? That's just like when it got down to Velvet's dad passing, that he was the happiest person alive. You notice they had a party when her brother passed away. They had a party. Remember, they bought the turtle. Next thing you know, they had a party. How do you have a party when somebody lost their brother? So they had a party, even though Velvet wasn't at the party, but they had a party when Velvet's father passed away. And this is what's taking over the YouTube, this straight narcissism. You got the women narcissists and the men narcissists, and we're caught in the middle because they are at different extremes. That's why they are so extreme. Like I seen the video today, the same man, when I did his video, it disappeared. I'm telling you, the video disappeared. And I want to ask him how the F did the video disappear. They didn't say nothing about, I'm still looking for why did the video disappear. And then that same man has another channel and he showed nothing but good looking women on his page. I'm like, yes, he got so excited. He was playing the organ music. He was like, he was trying to act like Pastor P. He ain't no Pastor P. You know what I'm saying? He was up there like, yeah, and I love to do the good looking woman dirty. See, this how they pray. I keep trying to tell you guys, there is no particular look. Stop thinking that they're only looking for people that have low self-esteem. No, they want some. They want to know that they good. And for them to know that they're good at what they do, why would they pick somebody with low self-esteem? They're going to pick people with high self-esteem. They're going to pick people that love themselves. They're going to pick people who have businesses and doing something for themselves. Because once they break you, they know, damn, I'm good. I am good. Low self-esteem is too easy. Telling people, oh, love themselves. They love picking people who love themselves. Like you got some men who did a work, them women took them for everything. Them women took them for everything. And moved on to the next and didn't even look back. Took they everything they owned, they worked for, gone. The men destroy your whole life, gone. And on to the next one. Whatever was your sunshine, they made sure they worked on that sunshine to make it a cloudy, nothing but cloudy days. Nothing but cloudy days. Uh-oh. I got some coffee. Oh, thank you for the coffee, truly. I appreciate that. Thank you, darling. I got to get me some, one of them little pots that make that noise when I get me some coffee. Right now, I want to go on to how they devalue. This is what I'm saying. You don't leave narcissistic people. They leave you. We're going to get into word salad and all that other type of stuff. No, thank you. We're going to get into it. And you know, whichever subject y'all want to know or whatever terminology you guys would want to know, let me know. Now, devalue and discard. Because I don't know if we covered this before. I know we covered everything else, but I don't know if we covered this.
Discarding. Before we go on to that, please do click on the bell if you want to subscribe to this channel. You'll get daily updates when new episodes of this series come out, as well as all of the other content that comes out on this channel. So let's take on this issue of devaluing and discarding. The classical narcissistic fairy tale starts with idealization and then moves on to devaluation and then discarding. Everyone thinks it won't happen to them, and yet, without exception, the story goes down the same way every time. To feel thrown away by another person is an awful experience, but yet it is sort of a universal part of the narcissistic relationship. So let's start by taking a look at the narcissistic relationship cycle. In most cases, not all by any means, but most, the idealization often takes the form of love bombing, which is another video in this series. So love bombing or idealization lasts just long enough to get you stuck in this relationship dynamic. Just when you exhale and believe in the fairy tale, then bam, that's when the devaluation phase starts. Devaluation can start slow. It's when the little criticisms begin, when you start experiencing the contempt, when the gifts and the big nights out go away, when the narcissist's phone becomes much more interesting than you sitting in front of them, and when the sideways comments like, I don't know, like, are you really going to wear that? And other comments of that ilk start to creep into the relationship. It can be a real time of intense confusion in a relationship because you can't figure out when the love bombing ended and when the contempt began. All you know is it's though the weather changed. It went from being very warm to very cold kind of quickly. The devaluing phase tends to happen just as you start to feel more settled into the relationship as a real relationship. You may have actually been resisting the relationship for a while, and you might have even been savvy enough to think, oh, this love bombing is a little bit too good to be true. I'm not going to be played. And then just when you settled in, when you felt like it was a real and whole relationship, that is when the devaluation begins. The reason for this sort of shift, it's a bit nuanced, but it largely happens because at the deepest deep, a narcissist's self-loathing is actually so deep and so unprocessed that just as someone does see the good in them, it's as though it activates their self-contempt, which they then project onto you, and then voila, devaluation. It's as though they project their devaluation of themselves onto you. Now, devaluation can last for months, years, and even decades. It becomes, before you know it, sort of a new normal. Your life tends to be punctuated by insults and by invalidation. The discard is just what it sounds like. Discarding is honestly like throwing out the trash. It's like they're done with you. Now, sometimes discarding never really truly happens. You may just kind of get stuck in the purgatory of devaluation forever. But discarding happens when they cast you aside. And this is almost like discarding is like, it can be really cold, and you can actually have a narcissistic relationship that keeps happening even when you've been discarded. So for example, your narcissist may have an affair, an extramarital affair, just cheat on you. And so you were, in essence, discarded, but you still stay in the relationship. Or they may take a job or take advantage of an opportunity that doesn't take you into consideration. So either you have to leave your life behind to join them or be left behind. So they're just kind of doing what works for them. The discarding is often motivated for the narcissist from a place of both contempt and of boredom. Basically, your narcissistic supply has become quite stale. And
planning and preparing dinner used to be such a grind until you switched.
Novelty seeking. So it all depends on your story. No matter what, it feels awful to be discarded from a relationship that you actually believe that you're in. Many narcissists expect you often to do the dirty work and end the relationship so they can turn around and say, oh, she was the one who left me. He was the one who filed for divorce. She moved out and walked out on me and the kids. Oh, he walked away from his family. When that happens, they get to look good to the world. And since the narcissist is often going to turn around and tell the world a false story, then you look like the one who was unfeeling or unkind or willing to walk away from something which doesn't feel good. Now, the mistakes that people most often make during the devaluation and the discarding phase is to ask that killer question, why? During the devaluation phase, they're going to gaslight you and deny that they are devaluing you. And in fact, they may turn around and call you paranoid or hypersensitive or crazy. Now, during the discarding phase, if you try to make them accountable for their behavior, again, you're going to run into more gaslighting. Now, people want to make sense of this process. So asking why is understandable, but there's really no sense to be made of it because the narcissist isn't going to cop to it. The narcissist isn't going to turn around and say, yeah, I'm not capable of making healthy attachments and I'm deeply insecure and I have contempt for intimacy. So I am actually, I'm rejecting you and I'm treating you badly to see and test my hypothesis that you will observe my insecurity and that you will leave me. And my fantasy is that's the case. And then let's see if that comes true. Now, they are not going to say that to you, even though that's the dynamic that's likely unfolding. So asking them for an explanation is likely to bring more harm than good because they themselves aren't in touch with what's happening. Now, the devaluing and discarding cycles happen in families as well. In general, if you aren't just blindly going along with a narcissist agenda, then they often think that you are against them. And in a family, this can happen when you just don't go along with the program, with what the narcissistic parent or sibling or aunt or grandparent want. Your family members, the family members will find out that if you, or they learn that if you appease the narcissistic family member, then you will be able to keep them calm and stay in their good graces. And this can be particularly profound if the narcissist has some kind of power. So for example, the money that they may use to control family members. So if you do lay down some real boundaries in a family system, the discard and devalue.
Now, another thing, another way you could tell, like if you ever been with a narcissistic person and y'all doing the do, right? But you notice they love the bat rather than missionary. You never notice why some people love missionary and some do not like missionary. They like that why? Because see, missionary means intimate. It means more intimate. You're literally intimate Now, when they want to do all this wild, crazy stuff, and I don't mean some of the time, I mean all the time, that's because there's no love there. That's why they like to look at the back of your head, because they don't want to see you. It's sad, but that's true. The way when you're getting ready to do what you're doing it pop, 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 pop. That's another way of them showing you that they're narcissists. There are plenty of red flags. That is a red flag. So, missionary, it brings too much closeness. That regular old boring style that they may call boring, that's what is the most intimate. Because, you know, he could talk in your ear, he could say nice things to you. Unless he's using that, you could tell when it's not, you could tell when they're doing it forcefully. That's just to make you, that's just to whip you. Like, I'm gonna whip you, not far as whip you, but like whip a pill, whip you. Like, yeah, I'm gonna have this girl going. And you know, they do certain things to make you think they are highly skilled in the XEX area. But sometimes you gotta watch how they do these things. So a lot of times, whatever they do is planned. It's not coming naturally. But a lot of times, if they like the doggy, you know what I'm talking about? That's so they don't have to see your face. They'd rather see your back. So you have no idea what they are thinking. I'm not talking about the regular doggy, not the chocolate on the stick. I ain't talking about that. But that's a red flag. Like, why did he always, like, majority of the time when you see a lot of these movies, it's majority dog. Why is that? Why do they really love the doggy style? Now you know why. Because they don't have feelings and emotions. There's no feelings and emotions in the back of anybody's head. Just thought I'd give you a heads up. Okay? So let's go. Yeah, chocolate on the stick. We ain't talking about the chocolate on the stick, baby. Ooh, you know, you got speaking, you got to get creative. When YouTube, you got to be very creative, because the algorithms, every day the algorithms is picking up new words and stuff. You know what I'm saying?
Evaluation cycle is an eternal part of the scapegoat's role in the family system. They're constantly being devalued, ultimately. They may make life so miserable for the people who don't just sign on with whatever twisted agenda they have, that those people actually end up leaving or may get fired. Now, the devaluation and discarding cycle is,
stop coming late,
often
James.
followed by hoovering. That's why it's a dysfunctional cycle. Some people get so disgusted by the discarding cycle that they do ultimately leave. But it's not unusual for that insecure narcissist who wants to keep control to try to hoover them back. Now, if you fall for it and allow yourself to be sucked in, that whole cycle is going to begin again. Idealization, devaluation, and discarding. It's just sort of this eternal cycle that's really only going to end if you're the one who's going to be courageous enough to break it. And it can really be quite addictive. Lots of people confuse the excitement of hoovering and idealization with love. It's really not. It's abuse. And therapy becomes a key tool.
And another thing, narcissistic people, they keep their exes in their back pocket. Believe me, that they keep their exes in their back pockets because, number one, that's a source of supply. When they come in, piss you off, even if your baby daddy or your baby mommy, they keep you in the back pocket. And one minute they mean, the next minute they act like they want to get back with you, just to do with you, and then walk out like it didn't mean nothing, and then go home to their other supply. But that's also so you can have a glimpse of hope. Now, how effed up is of somebody? A lot of these women, once you leave these men, leave them. A lot of these men, once you leave these women, leave them. Don't have her invite you over for nothing. Narcissistic people, if you claim they are narcissistic, you may want peace for the children, but if it ain't no children, don't look back. Do not look back, because then you might end up a baby mama. But they keep plenty of narcissistic supply. So they always got their regular girl, they got the past girl, and then they got the girl that they want to have. So usually narcissistic men or women have at least three people in their life. They got their past lover, the lover they with now, and the lover that they're going to get. Just in case the new love, one of them get mad, they always looking for new supply. So if you supply, they don't have to look for you anymore. But they're still looking for more supply. See, that's when the STDs and stuff come along. Now you see why I cover the nature nuts, and you wonder why I covered it, because they're constantly looking for new supply. But for the old supply, it's not just because they want supply. They want to give you, you ever hear females, he always gonna love me. I would never be a woman to ever think that for me to get the next woman mad, yeah, he keep calling me. No, girlfriend, he's making sure you don't move on with your life. He want to make sure you stay his supply, even though y'all not together. He wants to make sure you stay his supply. And you keep and then in your mind, you keep having hope. Like, ain't no girl gonna be better than me. He always come back home to mama. No, baby. You got a narcissistic man who doesn't want you to move on. So they're keeping you in limbo. They are keeping you in limbo. Or if you're a man and you got a narcissistic female, you wonder why she keep giving it to you. Because she's keeping you in limbo, making you think it's an ounce of hope that we're going to get back together after he finished playing or after she finished playing. They are going to come back to me. It's all a game. It's all a game. Now, I want to get back into this narcissistic supply and see what this other lady has to say. Then we got to do word solid. We got to do gray rock. We got to do flying monkey. There's a lot of things we got to cover. So we thank Boss Lady for giving us this. Okay. Then I got to do the Jezebel spirit. I did that on one of my other videos. But a lot of my other videos, I'm just probably going to just let it show. Instead, I don't even know where the heck they at. But I got to just do it again. Remember, this is fair use.
So that you can negotiate with them better, which is what that's my sweet spot. That's what I talk about. I am an attorney, so I teach people how to negotiate with high conflict personalities in a way that helps you get what you want. So if you don't know me, I'm Rebecca Zung. I am a top 1% attorney and the author of the books Negotiate Like You Matter and Breaking Free, a step-by-step divorce guide. And I've helped thousands of people just like you
get
through this channel. So if you haven't subscribed to my channel, I would love if you do that now and hit that notification bell, and then you can be notified when I upload new videos and also when I go live like this. So on Tuesdays I go live and I do my really super popular Ask the Attorney Anything sessions. And on Thursdays from Scotland, hello in Scotland. And in specifically what I'm going to be talking about is what narcissistic supply is and how that plays out when you're negotiating with a narcissist. It's a key thing that you need to understand about narcissists.
Turn it down a little bit, Tony. It's echoing just a teeny bit.
All right.
So, Jean tells me it's
Is
8
it better?
p.m. there. Nice. In Honolulu.
Is better, Queen?
So,
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so narcissistic supply. I've seen a lot of people ask this question, like, what is supply exactly? You hear this word thrown around. What supply actually is what drives the narcissist, which is anything that feeds their ego. So narcissistic supply can be what you normally think of what feeds people's egos, like having a big house or having lots of money or a prestigious job or the right wife or husband or living in the right community and all of those things that make you feel more important, than other people. Those are all external sources of supply. But the other way that they get supply is through what I call devaluing, debasing, judging, degrading people, controlling people, intimidation tactics, gaslighting, all those sorts of things are also a way that narcissists get supply. So understand that the narcissist is a very fragile, broken person inside. And everything they do is to cover up the fact that there's this teeny little thing inside that decided long ago, long before you ever came into the picture, when they were maybe 5, 6, 7 years old, that the world is not a great place. They can't trust the world. It was either because they experienced some sort of trauma. It may have been that they were neglected in some way, abused in some way. I've even read things that overindulged children can become narcissists as well. But the bottom line is that they end up with no sense of inner value. So they believe that they only get value from the external world and that they have to manipulate it. They have to lie about it. They have to manipulate it. And that nobody cares about them. And so they don't really care about anybody else. And in fact, if you try to care about them, they eventually end up punishing you because there must be something wrong with you. About them because they have no inner sense of value. They have a very, very fragile sense of self. So in a divorce situation, you will see that injury, you're far into the discard phase. And if you haven't seen my videos on the 3 stages of a narcissistic relationship, I highly recommend you go back and watch those. So it's love bombing, devaluing, and discarding. And I have 3 different videos on each of those sections of their relationship, but they all interplay all the time. They can be love bombing as they're devaluing or love bombing as they're discarding or even as you're discarding. So they go back and forth between these phases. But what happens during the discard phase is you start to see the birth of the smear campaign. And that's when you start to see them lining up their flying monkeys and they have the triangulation and all that stuff is going on. And I did my Narcissism 101 last week was on flying monkeys. So if you want to know more about them, go check out that video as well. But basically, when you are dealing with them in a divorce, they are in full-on attack mode because when you're dealing with a narcissist, you're either for them or against them. So in a divorce situation, you're clearly against them. So they go on full-on attack mode and they start wanting to get you first and they start doing all kinds of things to try to manipulate you. And here's the key when it comes to divorcing a narcissist and dealing with supply. The thing is that you have to figure out if you want to try to settle your case. And I just did a coaching call with somebody on this morning. If you want to settle your case, then you need to figure out what form of supply means more to them than the supply that they get from jerking you around. The problem is that you, as a reasonable person, are trying to resolve a case or resolve differences or issues like a normal person. You think, what can we do to get to a place of being done with this case? Or how do we resolve this in a way that we each get something that's fair? Or what does the law say? Or something like that. Like, you look at all of those things. They don't look at that. I mean, they'll tell you that they do, but what it really comes down to is, what are they getting out of this deal? And if what they're getting is not more important to them than the supply that they get from jerking you around, then they will continue to jerk you around. For those of you out there who have been dealing with narcissists in a case for years, or even just dealing with them for years, if they're still in your life and they're still jerking you around, then that means that they are still getting some amount of supply. They enjoy watching you squirm. They enjoy watching you get emotional. They get off on that, and they get supply from that. That's their food. That's their oxygen. That's what they breathe. That's what they live on. Like, without that, they feel like they have no sense of self. That's how they get their sense of self. It's totally screwed up, but that's the truth. That's what it is. That's what narcissistic supply is. So when you're dealing with them in a divorce situation, or even a dissolution of a business relationship, or even if you're dealing with a family member or a neighbor or somebody in your life who's a narcissist, you have to understand that they get supply from making your life miserable. So you have to figure out what supply source is going to
making
be
your
more
life
important to them to
miserable
keep than the supply source that they get from making you miserable. So, and
I'm sure they make your life, I'm telling you, that's where supply come from. That's why, if you notice, Nature Boy does the Dr. Bishop, right? The Dr. Bishop is nothing but more narcissistic supply. So everybody can sit there and say, you're not like Baba B, like Baba G, Boo G. That's the everything he does is so the men can know, because he's not, the women are wrong, but he's still downgrading the men. That's why he wants men and women there, because every last one of them is his narcissistic supply. So now he's showing a little more favoritism to FBI to get Malaya a little mad. Because she never got she doesn't know that it's her turn to be narcissistic supply. So when it's your turn to be the narcissistic supply, that's when he makes you number one. Number one means it's your turn for the love bombing. After the love bombing, then I have to discard you and pick another one. That's so every time you see him having favoritism with any of them, it's about the supply. It's about the supply. Okay? All right. And remember, I'm going to tell you at the end, and remember, keep things short and sweet. Stop arguing back and forth with these people. You'll never win.
More deeply into how to communicate with them and all sorts of other things, which you can definitely sign up for below. And I do my AAA Ask the Attorney Anything session at the end of that as well. So for those of you who haven't joined me on my free webinar, you should definitely do that. And for those of you who haven't grabbed my free Crush My Negotiation Prep worksheet, you can get that now too. It's totally free. It's 15 pages. It's basically an ebook.
Okay. So now y'all know what narcissistic supply is. Basically doing everything you can to make somebody scared, miserable, shaken. That's taking everything. Wherever you was, that free spirit, happy, go, lucky, and it makes their day. So stop preaching that, oh, love yourself. They only pick women who don't love I'm telling you, it's a lie. Because that's nothing. That's nothing. They pick women for them to say, hey, I'm good. Let me pat myself on the back. They want the most independent woman ever. Stop telling these men your business. You ain't got to tell these men you strong. You ain't got to tell these women you strong. You ain't, every time you keep telling a woman that you alpha, she's going to make you a beta. Because you kept telling her you alpha if you're dealing with a narcissistic female. That's why sometimes people just gotta, once they become codependent on each other, you gotta leave them alone. They're gonna huff and puff and blow the house down. Make sure you are nowhere around. Okay? Now, I don't know if I wanted to get into another subject. I forgot what it was. Let me see. Let me see about the part 2. Let me see if there's a part 2, and I would definitely play it. Is there a part 2? All right, let me just check and see if there's a part 2. All right, there's no part 2. But I do want to talk about this Milk Me's. I'm going to come back on, and I want to talk about this Meek Mill's, this milk, God damn it, Meek Mill's bus cover. But we have enough of this. Thank you guys. Hopefully you learned something. I constantly stay on this all the time. That's what this page is about. Living with narcissistic people, because you can't get rid of them. You can't. They're all around. They all around you. So I catch you next time. I will be back with I will be back with the Meek Mills, and how do you guys feel about that? So we'll say I'm coming right back on. You want to talk about that, boss lady?
Okay.
All right, so I'm coming right back on. All right.